Hello everyone, this is Ashley Tucker. Thank you for joining me today. Before I start talking about today's card, I wanted to say that I am getting over being sick, so if my voice sounds a little off at any point, that's why. I'm using the Beautiful Flowers 2 stamp set from Simon Says Stamp's STAMPtember release, and I started out by taking 2 of the floral images from that stamp set and stamping it onto some Gina K Plum Punch cardstock using Versamark ink. I heat embossed those 2 flowers using some white embossing powder. I'm going to color these flowers in using my Prismacolor pencils. I really love the look of colored pencils on a dark cardstock. Normally I would use a dark gray cardstock or a craft cardstock, but this time I thought it would be really fun to use a purple cardstock. I chose to color the flowers yellow because yellow is the complementary color to purple, and because my cardstock is purple, I thought that the yellow flowers would really pop. Before using my yellow pencils, I go in on each petal with my white Prismacolor pencil. This is a step that you don't really need to do with the Prismacolor pencils because they will still show up on the darker cardstock even without white underneath. Having the white underneath, though, really kind of changes the way the color looks. It kind of brightens it up. And with these particular yellow colors, I liked the way that they looked on this cardstock with the white underneath them versus how they looked without the white underneath. So before I started coloring this, I did take a scrap piece of this Gina K Plum Punch cardstock and I tested my yellow colors on it to see if I liked it with the white or without. So that's how I decided to choose to put the white underneath. The yellow colors that I used here are PC 940, PC 916, and PC 1002. For the center of the flowers, I used a little bit of PC 1028. Now for the stems and the leaves on these flowers, I really liked the look of the color without the white underneath. So I'm just coloring directly with the colors and not adding the white. And the 2 colors that I used on the stems and the leaves are PC 912 and PC 1006. Next I pulled out this plank cling background from Simon Says Stamp and I inked it up with Versamark ink, and I took another piece of that Gina K Plum Punch cardstock and I laid it on top of that background. And you might be able to tell that I have another background on the back of that cardstock, and that was my first attempt at a background for this card and I didn't really like the way that it came out, so this is my second attempt. So I put a piece of scrap cardstock over the top of that and then pressed down really well in order to get that stamp impression onto my paper. And then I'm going to be heat embossing this with a clear embossing powder. And I did go over this cardstock really well with my powder tool before stamping so that I wouldn't have any of this embossing powder stick to anywhere where I didn't want it to. I fussy cut my 2 floral images out, and then I put some foam tape on the back and stuck them right onto that background that I just created. After I adhered both of these flowers, I did use some scissors to snip off the bottom of the stems so that they are flush with the background. For my sentiment, I chose a stamp which says thanks, and this is from the Beautiful Flowers 2 stamp set, and I used my Misty tool to stamp that onto a piece of Gina K slate cardstock. I stamped that with Versamark ink and then I embossed it with a white embossing powder. I used my Gina K Connect glue to adhere that little sentiment strip onto a piece of vellum, and then I used my tonic trimmer to cut the vellum down, leaving just a little bit of a border around that sentiment strip. I was going to use my ATG gun to adhere this background onto my card base, but I ran out of that adhesive and I realized I did not have any backup. So I used my Gina K Connect glue to finish adhering that onto my card base. My card base is made out of Neenah Desert Storm cardstock. I used some foam tape to pop up my sentiment and I just placed that in the center of the upper portion of my card. I took my Wink of Stella and I added it to the background of this card, and I just very randomly picked out some of the planks and filled them in. And you might notice that release paper up in the corner just kind of moving around on its own. Don't worry, it's not a ghost. I had just had my air conditioner on and it was blowing on it, so that's why that's moving. Anyways, once I finished adding the glitter to my background, I actually called this card done. I didn't want to add a whole bunch of embellishments to this. I thought that the background was enough for this. So here's a closer look at the finished card. Thank you for watching today. I hope you really enjoyed this card using the Beautiful Flowers 2 stamp set from Simon Says Stamp. All of the supplies that I used for this card can be found in the description down below. If you enjoyed this video and you have not subscribed to my channel yet, I would encourage you to hit that subscribe button so that you can see all of my future videos. I'm going to be back with a new video on Monday. Again, thank you for watching. I appreciate all of you, and I hope you have a good weekend.